I'm constantly impressed by not only the themes of this game, but this. Here's a very real fact of the meta narrative of this game. It's impressive. It's impressive. Why can't AAA studios do this? Hello and welcome back to podcast. Everyone's favorite podcast, Critical Arcade. I am comrade co-host Nick.
Wow, Nick. Let me just take that in for a second there. Because I am Dave. And I'm Dave. I wasn't expecting that.
Hello, comrade Dave.
Are you well? I'm not sure if you are. You seem to be... Are you trapped behind enemy lines somewhere? Like, why we got the thick... I think you're doing a Russian accent, fundamentally.
You think I'm doing a Russian? No.
Any Russian accent reminds me instantly of the guy from Borderlands, the guy with the driving, the big van that you drive around, and...
In Borderlands?
Okay, come now. In Borderlands, don't tell me he's not Russian, like he's French. In Borderlands, the first one, the guy in the caravan that picks you up. Yeah, is he Russian?
I don't know.
Don't say. I
don't think so.
He's Hispanic, and I'm just that dense.
It's time to take on a brand new day, full of opportunity.
Yes, yeah, that guy.
I think
right?
he's Russian.
I don't know. He's Russian, and God, why can't my brain just remember anything? Stalker, of course, being the greatest Russian game ever to exist.
Well, that's
in the world.
Chernobyl. That's very Russian.
Yes. Oh, so why such a lovely Russian spin on the introduction?
I don't even know. Sure, I was going for Russian, but
no, it was good. It was good. I think it was good. I didn't mind. I felt like I was in danger. So I think that was pretty good.
This week's game isn't directly set in Russia per se,
true.
But it might as well have been.
Yeah, this week's game is very Russian-esque, if that's even a word. But yeah, by all accounts, it's Russian-esque.
Okay, Dave, what did we play this week?
If you hadn't guessed, this week we're doing for one of our favorite parts of the podcast. It's the indie game, and this week's game, it's Papers, Please, which
that's right.
I feel like everybody must have heard of this game to some degree.
Yeah, I think like 7 years ago, this game was everywhere.
Yes, this was the indie hit, the one every streamer was playing it. It was everywhere. It was developed, like one of our favorite stories, developed by one guy. That's always one of the better stories in the indie sphere, where it's just one guy with one dream and one purpose and
one vision
and doesn't throw
one
up
hope.
his mum's spaghetti and all the other things that Eminem taught us about doing it. Yeah, and I love going into the backgrounds. He started like making games on Quake. You're old enough to remember Quake, right?
Whoa.
The original Quake, and Quake on multiplayers and online. And he started making just mods, like those weird little character mods, like Quake in Doom and Quake in different worlds by all accounts. So that's where he originally turned to his love of making video games.
This guy,
from the Quake
Lucas
community.
Pope.
Yeah. I loved that. I loved the idea that it was all
That's
just
you
were playing games and then all of a sudden I want to try this out and put a hand to this.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he did a lot of other stuff. He actually worked for Naughty Dog for a bit. He helped fix Uncharted 2 by all accounts. He was in the industry for a very long time, and just like a lot of the ones we hear about, he thinks, you know what, I'm going to step away, I'm going to try my own thing, and he made Papers, Please. Intriguingly enough, was inspired by his dealings with immigration services in regards to countries he goes to and
Oh,
from.
really? Is he not from America?
I should have
Or do we
down
just not
somewhere, but yes, I'd say I felt like he's not. But yeah,
Okay.
but he must either be not America and have to do the paperwork there, or live somewhere else and now has to do
Got
the
it.
paperwork.
Also,
because as you know, as an Englishman living in South Africa, I know his struggle, and I can understand fully just the long wait times would make you think of a game to make and program and stuff like that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. If there's anyone that could even slightly relate to this, it'd be you.
Yes. I won't go down that, but yeah, the South African visa and immigration process, not. Just not. There's not even another descriptive word. It's just not. It just does not exist.
I think there's a lot of sensitive topics like this that is touched by this game, because I do have to say this is one of the most unique games we've ever reviewed.
Oh, agreed. This was a game that kind of kicked off. What do they call it now? Like office work type games, right? Like processing papers and red tape, in gaming format. Because that's kind of common now. It's. I guess in theory you could say like the Stanley Parable started it. It is. There's lots of games now where you're in an office and you have to deal with like parking permits and zoning laws, but with some sort of wacky spin on it that the building is possessed or the coffee machine is your best friend, things like that. There's lots of weird games now which are based in office environments and paper pushing, but with a wacky spin. And this kind of started off the whole...
I get it. I'm wondering if it's... I'm listening to how you describe these games, and I'm wondering if these games kind of... they're missing the point.
But I do agree, because it's what is some, I don't know which one of the streamers. All these latest like crappy horror games always require you to mop the floor and restock the shelves and clean the toilet, right? It's the chore based gameplay in these things to kind of like level you out and put you in the role of clerk or cleaner. And I agree, there is no fun in that. I don't understand.
No, that's not fun. That's just something to do to put you in Scare's way.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of like a narrative, like a carrot on the stick, which I also agree. There's no fun in that. But what do I know?
It's funny you should say that, because a lot of people would say the same thing about Papers, Please.
Yes, if you were to describe what you did in this game to someone like who'd never played it, you'd be like,
what do you mean? Yes, this is a passport checker simulator.
Yeah, exactly. You are, that big red stamp and that big green stamp. You wield those dual-handed and just freaking go to town. That's what you play. But it's so much more. I guess we're jumping straight to the narrative.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, let's go to narrative.
So the setup, this game, like Nick was saying, this is Russian but not Russian, because it is in a made up country or state
called.
Okay, no, I'm gonna let you say it. You're the accents guy. Go on. What's this place called? Go on.
You're an immigration inspector in the fictional communist nation of Rostotska.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna just leave blanks. So it's 1982, and after 6 war with neighboring. Do you know the neighboring country?
Yes, the United Federation and Galicia.
Nice. So you do remember these things. Has reclaimed control of the border checkpoint in Grestin. Grestan? I don't know if you could say that. Can you say that in a Russian accent?
Grestin.
There you go. Thank you. And you are one of just several citizens selected through like a labor lottery to work as an immigration inspector at the checkpoint. And initially, like Nick was saying, you're just looking at passports, looking at the person, and saying, okay, yeah, that doesn't look like that person, let them through.
Yes.
Doesn't look like that person, doesn't let them through. But then it gets so much more complex. And doing the review of this game, I did not know where to put the 10, because I did feel this game was 10 worthy. I did not know to put it in narrative or gameplay, because I think they're too closely linked. And as like a whole, it forms a 10. Because, again, ladies and gents, that's the basic narrative. That's where you start off. You do paperwork, and because this is kind of like a simulator game, you then get paid depending on your ability and
your
processing
performance.
Speed. And then, of course, you've got rent and food and heating and all sorts of like random scenarios get thrown at you that you have to cope with and deal with. And then, of course, there are other things like, oh God, it's so complex, but it's so...
It really is. It really is. That is kind of just your day-to-day.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It starts you walking to work, you get some new rules for the gameplay, and then the story is you let some people enter, you let some people not enter. But, as Dave was just alluding to, it gets to be something much, much, much bigger, right?
It is one of those, because later on you deal with like Interpol, you deal with imposters, you deal with potential terrorists and stuff like that in regards
and
to the story. Resistance groups. Now this game was actually nominated for Game of the Year. This is how big this game is, because it did that one thing, and it was right at the end. And after researching this, and I only really realized what the narrative and the gameplay kind of hand in hand does. It kind of makes you realize the levels of your own humanity, which is a very deep hole to go down. Because in this narrative, you've got your own problems, and then most people start off quite humane, like, okay, Granny can go through, she's seeing her kids, so I'll just let this one slide and stuff like that. And then of course, potentially how you go, you might be getting more hard done by because you're doing nice things, and then you slowly think to yourself, but I need to look after my family, and then you slowly start kind of like leaning in, yeah, but I can't do the nice things anymore because I get paid less and I could be penalized, so now I got to do the moral dilemmas of the things they put you through.
I get it. Was that the route you took? Was that what happened to you?
It was so... Granted, this game does have 20 different endings, so you can save some runs, you can't save some other runs. The run that really got me with this is that I can't remember if it was aunt or uncle or something, they died because I couldn't afford the heating. And I was like, oh my God, they died of pneumonia because I was too nice. And then it gives you, like, you get that, like, I've got to stop being nice. It's such a weird thing for a game to finally get you, like, to make you balance the grey area of just, like, life. Other games don't do that. That's a crazy situation to put yourself into and help, like, realize, you know, the eccentricities of a simple job in regards to just, like, visa applications and processes within a totalitarian nation of some sort. It's so good. I loved it. I loved this game.
Same. The story isn't something that necessarily gripped me, but there are certain parts of the story that did. There are smaller, more memorable stories that got me, like the one of Eliza and Sergio. Did you get them to reunite in your game?
I don't know. Yeah, and the reuniting part reminds me of something. I don't know their names.
Green Guardsman told you.
Oh, the Green Guardsman guy. Yes, I did. Yes, correct. I know who you're talking about now. Yes.
Right. That reunion that happens on screen at the top of your game is genuinely heartwarming.
Yeah, that's a cute bit. I agree. That is a great little bit.
It really, really, really is. The game doesn't slow down. It doesn't stop. There's no big moment, set piece. The music doesn't crescendo, nothing. It's just two pixelated bodies running to each other and embracing each other because they were able to beat the system.
Yes, and you were able to help them to some degree, right?
Exactly. Because, I know what the system is in this game. So just it's something that's genuinely. If this game has made me care about pixels running, hugging other pixels.
But there's a narrative that with you doing that, it caused your life to get worse in game, potentially, which is that weird balance that makes you go, oh.
Exactly.
Go on. Yeah.
That balance. I had that balance that you just described the other way.
Yeah.
I started my game just glory to Arstotzka.
Nice.
I was
towing the line,
following orders. Yeah. I was doing everything as the bureaucracy told me to. Fair. Sorry, you granny, you need medication, but you don't have the correct papers. Denied.
That's right. I know. I did a bit of that. There's no doubt.
Exactly. And then only after this little memorable story of Elisa and Sergio did my heart grow 2 times in size.
Yeah. So you actually stopped towing the line at that point when you heard that narrative.
I did.
Yeah.
Because of the way this game works, you actually get 2 freebies per day.
Yes,
only after your 2 freebies do they start penalizing you.
Yes.
So I would get better at the game and then use my freebies for these the
nice narratives, the runaways and stuff like that.
Exactly that.
But what if you played the game wrong and you missed one and then you've lost one of your freebies and you're like, what? I got one wrong, and then you've lost $5 and now you can't afford to put the
At the start I was like, no, I can't do that. And at the end I was willing to take the hit because this is a totalitarian bureaucracy. Right. It's not right what's going on. Sure,
it is such
sure. Arstotzka might be the lesser of two evils, but that doesn't make it right. The government corruption here it's not okay. And I'm sure in countries all over the world, just illegal immigrants and xenophobia is no foreign concept, pun intended. But I can't play that game. I need to be humane.
Yeah, no, that's why I think this game was so lauded and got there, because it makes you think those things, because it gets you to think about that and your own process and your own humanity and what levels you can go to stick to your principles or twist your principles.
Yeah.
That's big. That's such a big thing to do.
It really is big. And for a game that's less than 100 megabytes,
yeah, I know, right?
To do that,
it's so cool. Did you know that this game actually has an icon too? This, Sonic has Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario the Plumber, Mario and Luigi. Do you know there's actually an icon in this game, the people's choice, the fan favorite in this game? Do you know who it is?
Please tell me it's the little dude, I forgot his name, that never gets his papers right.
Yes! He is everyone's favorite character, because... Of
course.
He's kind of like, for lack of a better term, he's the slapstick and like the light-hearted aspects to the paper, because he never has his paperwork right. Like he'll be wearing a hat and his details will be entirely different, and so you kind of have to deny him.
Or it's just a drawing made by crayon.
Yes, that's right.
And he thinks a passport
looks
like.
People have cosplayed him. I love that type of thing. But anyway, that is anything else narratively you want to add?
There's actually so much that we can say. I think the authoritarian rule that you're trying to survive under, the balance between following orders, helping innocent people, joining the resistance, right? I think the final thing that I would like to say is this game never tells you the correct answer.
Correct. And it leaves you hanging, because when those ones where you find that have got weapons on them and then they just get taken out to the left of your cubicle and you don't know, are they taken off and being killed? Are they being interrogated? You never really know you don't. Of what happens until...
You know your little corner.
Yeah,
right?
It's such... Yeah,
the line, the street, the window and your desk, that's your little corner. Anything besides that, not your problem.
And then later on, you get a gun. It's also just such a crazy freaking thing.
You need to take down terrorists.
Yeah, this is a crazy job, but it does it so well. It amps up the stakes so well in these things.
And the story unfolds story unfolds naturally while you work. Never really feels like long exposition.
No, exactly.
It's excellent the way it makes you question your morals.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anything else, or should we jump to visuals?
Visuals.
Now, in a game this size, they got to be amazing visuals, right? We're talking crystal clear clarity, we're talking shadows and lighting and all the other things, right? 100 megabytes. Things you can fit in that.
Yeah, physics.
Yeah, that's right. There's so much in there. Okay, all jokes aside, what did you think of the visuals? I think
this is another reason why indie games will prevail.
Yes, more now more than ever by all accounts in regards to everything going on.
With recent news. No, I think this has got an extremely unique visual art style, one that makes it stands out from all other games. If you take a look at a screenshot of this, you immediately know what game this is.
Yes, very true. Right? I agree. It is, yeah.
This retro 16-bit inspired pixel art almost looking ass game. It looks like something from the early 90s.
Yes, no,
right?
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. But I love everything about it, because it's also bland for a better way of saying it. Because it's an office job, because it's kind of a depressing scenario. It's bland and it's paperwork and it's post-it notes, and then all of a sudden, like you said, it's a picture of a family member, or it's something brightly coloured on the pinboard, like behind you or in your booth, and it's those clever little bits that add to the monotony of what you're seeing every day.
You were able to buy your son the crayons he wants, and then he draws you a picture.
That's right. Those little things and the visual aspects of seeing them all the time in regards to your drudgery, that is your kind of sad job and sad life to some degree, that depending on which way you do it. Because you can escape. One of the narratives is escaping the country and living your life happily, which is very cool. But sorry, you were saying.
I was going to say that's one of the extremely few happy endings you get to.
Yes, it is hard to get as well, by all accounts.
I was gonna mention, off the back of what you mentioned, I had a point in audio where things are so almost unnecessarily bland.
Yes, agreed.
And it's so by design.
It is.
You're never meant to feel like Arstotska looks appealing, because it's not.
No, agreed. It's
not. People don't come to Arstotska because they want to be there. They want to be there because they don't want to be in their other country.
Yeah, they're fleeing. They're fleeing a
they're fleeing.
State or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Say refugees almost.
Yes.
It looks bland. Yeah. It looks cold. It looks grey. It looks like it sucks to be there.
Yeah. But I'm loving all these negative words. And that's why it's great. It's bland, it's boring, it's
that's
great.
That's why we say glory to Arstotska.
Exactly. But it's another interesting thing, I was looking down the rabbit hole. All the permits and the fingerprints and the vaccination records and all the other diplomatic seals in some degree were all actually based around the real looks of that paperwork in around about the 90s and 80s, 90s, say. So he not only he didn't just make it up. A lot of that paperwork, and particularly the process of how you actually have to get the paperwork, was fairly accurate visually as well. Like where they put the stamp and where they put the application signatures and stuff like that were all actually researched to mimic what it would actually kind of
that's incredible
be in real life, which is also very cool. Yeah,
that's some incredible attention to detail. I would. Now that you tell me that, I really wouldn't want to do this. All those papers, you can see what they're supposed to be, but dang, if if someone comes with their passport,
right, yeah,
and they come with an identification document, and they've come with a worker's permit,
right, yeah,
and then they've also got 2 other papers, and I'm getting 15 seconds to check all the information.
Yes, that's right. That's very true.
Whew, it almost feels like visual clutter.
Yes. By all accounts.
It's supposed to kind of overwhelm you.
Yes.
And then the gameplay loop on the visual side, at least, is to, how do you say, overcome that visual clutter.
Yes, exactly right.
To find information.
Yes, that is literally, like I said, the gameplay aspect of the visuals in this is to get too much paperwork so that you might make a mistake. Like you might miss the origins, or it's male but it's a female in front of you, or you'll miss the visa date. The date is wrong on one of the paperwork corresponding to.
Or that they are let's say 4 kilograms heavier than on their ID.
Yes. So that clutter is visually there to make the puzzle solving aspect of these things more complex and sadly more real life, because I can only imagine it's fairly common that paperwork never really adds up to all of it all in line when doing these. I know. Again, my own personal applications, that if everything does not line up perfectly, it does not work. So
exactly,
it's funny to think how this is gameplay and it all really works well, but it's also the reality of what it is kind of one of the impressive things, that you have to say no. Visually, they give you the clutter to kind of sneak people trying to sneak by you and try, or you try to ignore it to push it through, is all there on the paperwork in front of you, or even just that little hidden note for the resistance that you've got to remember, and it just sits in the cubicle for you to remember. Oh, don't forget the guy is supposed to let through, so that you get paid more, by all accounts. It's good.
There are a ton of things to kind of remember, and you can
Yes.
even make little notes for yourself. I know that's gameplay, but
it's hard.
the visuals for this, you're right. The clutter is intentional.
Yes, exactly. It's an intentional gameplay mechanic, so to speak.
Yeah. I think another intentionality of this game that I found interesting and intriguing and impressive was the constant 3 perspectives.
Yes, that was right. I was literally the next thing I was going to say. Like you said,
Okay.
but no, continue. Like you said, the little storytelling bits in the parts when you're in your cubicle.
These 3 perspectives work together to tell a story, but it's also consistently divided on your screen. Let's say the top 2/5 of your screen would be a landscape view of your little inspection office,
right.
the line and the street to the right-hand side. And the bottom left-hand side would be your window and a little bit some of your controls in your workstation, so you can see the person who you're talking to. And the majority of your screen would be your desk, where you inspect notes, passports, booklets, papers, anything.
Yeah.
And these 3 perspectives never change.
No.
Like, unless your day ends and you start a new day, those are your 3 perspectives.
That's
and it's
right,
a distinct presentation that you really don't get anywhere else.
No, and it also kind of adds to that thing that you're kind of locked in a jail cell yourself in life, right?
Correct,
It's very claustrophobic in its own right.
It is. It definitely makes you feel like you're one of the prisoners in Storskov.
Just one that happens to have to work and process people, but you're still stuck in a relative hell. No, agreed.
But there was one consistent sentence that you get from the start to the end of this game that never changes, that subconsciously makes you feel depressed by this game.
Which one's that?
The button to make you start a level is called Walk to Work.
Oh, very true. Yes, that's true. And
just that simple line, walk to work, already makes me so sad. It makes me depressed. It makes me not want to do it.
Especially in, as we were saying, like a war-torn state, a controlled border, and cold. This place is fundamentally cold, very Russian winter type vibes to the thing as well. So yes, I do get you mean how that makes you feel. Anything else visuals, or do you want to go to your favorite chapter?
This view, I think the only thing I never understood the use of the top view, where you kind of take a look at the street and the line and just this big slab of concrete, because there's no real gameplay benefits to that view, except later on when you get your tranquilizer gun.
Yeah, later on it kind of comes into play, but you're right, the initial part.
That adds to the world building, which can be part of the narrative and visuals, when you can see guards actually arrest people that you've detained.
Yes.
You can see terrorist attacks, killing guards that's working alongside you, fence jumpers.
Right.
And
those little bits are good. Those little cinematic bits that play around
even
you.
just a car parking and a government official walking out towards your little inspection office.
Yeah. And it makes you
see all that happening.
Yeah, makes you hold your breath a little bit, doesn't it? In regards to, oh shit, what's going on now? Like, do they know I let that guy through, or that romantic couple? Yeah, no, it's good stuff, though.
It's an extremely memorable art direction.
It is. Okay. Audio. Now, this is a complex one by all accounts, right? Because there's not much of it. Am I wrong?
Yeah, sure. Complex is a word. I do recognize the minimalist approach that Lucas had with the audio of this game, but I also didn't find it that impressive.
Ooh, why? Because I kind of liked it for the same reason we kind of noticed the visuals. Because of the office work sounding and the garbled intercom sound system thing that talks to the people over that.
I totally get all of that, right? You get loads of satisfying tactile sounds
like
as you do everything on your
very
desk.
true, yeah.
Push this button, pull this lever, move around papers. It's all got very tactile sounds that could make you sound like you're at a real desk.
Yes.
Stamping passports, opening drawers, those are real sounds. And also, I found this online. All of those are non-copyright sounds that he just found on, like, I think freesound.org or someplace.
I love it. So he just typed in draw noise and he was like,
exactly, and he got a draw
that's
noise.
Perfect. Yeah,
he
exactly,
used it. That's great. That's
that
great.
Works,
I don't know how valid that claim is, but I just find that it's a fun
It's
fact.
comical, yeah. I can see him scoring through them. Yeah.
This game doesn't have voice acting, really.
No. Like any, does it? I get you. There's like the human noises and the drama parts, but everything else is written, right? I'm not going mad.
Yeah, it's written, and you get garbled.
Yes.
Noises that's supposed
to.
to sound like a foreign language.
But I think that's clever. I think that
I get you.
It adds to the monotony of the job. And then when something does happen, like you said, when that car drives up and you just hear like an engine noise and like the door close and you're like, oh crap, because like you said, there is normal just noises. That this weird little tiny scenario just built tension by a car door closing, or the alarms go off and all the other things that come into play. But
exactly, yeah.
You
hear people shouting, running.
Yeah. And like fear and stuff like that in regards to their reaction aspects to it. And I did think the opening song, which isn't much, it's just a very like Russian-esque again.
It is. I do feel like I need to go grab my babushka when I hear that.
You do feel almost your back straightens up and you start polishing your boots as soon as you kind of like hear that type of music play.
It's very Eastern European and Russian inspired.
Yes. And then he did it himself. Now I know it's not like super complex. He didn't write compositions and special strings parts and stuff like that. But the idea that he was like in his room, okay, so how do I make something sound like Russian or like just a totalitarian in some way? And it's like
you make it sound like a military march.
Yes, that's exactly. I know it's simplistic, but I enjoyed it.
And to its credit, it does fit the oppressive atmosphere of Orstotska.
Yes,
right. The bureaucratic nature of you doing your job in a cell. It fits.
Yes. And it's lonely. Again, it's one of those claustrophobic aspects that tries to bring into it brings home that same humane balance that you're trying to look for, that you're on your own. You haven't got like friends around you talking to you or any office banter and stuff like that. I know, it just adds that same level of desperate situation, be it the nothing else really going on in your little booth.
There's been a couple. We've alluded to this a couple of times throughout this review. The grayness and the drab blandness of the visuals, and also the lack of audio, except for the extremely Russian and Eastern European inspired intro song. There's even a bit in the gameplay where your boss, who's a government official, visits your inspection workspace, and he sees the drawing of your son on the wall, which is probably the only colorful thing on screen at the moment. He fines you for it.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, putting that picture up is something you need to intentionally do.
Yes, that's very true.
You can have that picture on your desk,
yes,
but you can also put that picture up, which is what anyone would do.
Yeah. Agreed.
So being fined for having the only bit of color on screen kind of reinforces the fact that the game or the officials in this game doesn't want it, right? And I think the lack of music almost reinforces how joyless Orstotska is supposed to be.
Agreed. It is.
It's a meta narrative, Dave.
Yay! No, but I go on, sorry.
I'm constantly impressed by not only the themes of this game, but this. Here's a very real fact of the meta narrative of this game. It's impressive. It's impressive. Why can't AAA studios do this?
I love part of me, I always like the narrative that do you think there's any time when people develop games and they say, oh god, I just love how little sound and stuff you put into it? Do you think he sit there and goes, yeah, that was intentional. You're absolutely right.
I totally didn't put anything there on purpose.
Yeah, no, I didn't forget that. I didn't, you're right. I'm a genius.
Oh, I absolutely didn't just go on lunch.
Yeah, like that's what I often wonder how much of it slips through, and they just go, God, "You're so right. I'm so glad you brought that up because that was a stylistic choice of mine, and I'm glad that it's being perceived that way." I wonder if those things.
You know what?
slip
I
through.
think that happens constantly.
It has
but
to.
it's also people who understand these things also understand that's not the point.
True.
The point isn't. It's how do I say this? Let's see here. Interpretation does not equal intention.
Yeah, okay.
Other way around as well. Intention does not equal interpretation, right? Sure. His intention might not have been to make it empty and joyless, right? As a poet's intention might not have been to have anything else to say other than the curtains are blue. But that does not mean it's not up for interpretation.
Very true.
That does not mean that we can't interpret it in a way that we wish.
That's very true.
And I think that is one of the fantastic things of art.
Yes, I was going to say that's an art thing.
Intention does not equal interpretation.
That's very true. That's very true. Ooh, we've gone deep into the layers upon layers of artistic and
this game.
Right?
It's this game. It's this game.
Anything else audio-wise, or should we go to gameplay?
Gameplay.
Okay, gameplay. This is one of those things. Like I said, it's hard not to give this a 10 because I don't know where the 10 should have gone or where it shouldn't have gone because it is just office work. And I know that sounds
It's just office
normal,
work. You're so right.
It is. But one thing that you stipulated earlier, it's the time management and the citations and stuff you can get when you go wrong, right? It's that for me is what was the real clincher because you'd have you know that your bottom line is I need to earn 50 today. And I need to preferably earn 60, so I got $10 for this, which means I can't do any mistakes. But every time you get your base wage and stuff is associated with how many people you process. So you want to process people fast, but the faster you process people, the more likelihood you're going to make an error, which means you're going to be getting a deduction in your wages. And then that stress with all the other rebellious things coming through and the people's romantic getaways they want to order. It's that intensity in those moments.
Yes.
That just... Again, makes you balance your humane nature against your survival, and you're doing it to a countdown.
Oh, you're so right.
It's such a clever little divisive thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does. I think divisive is the perfect word. You'll either love this or you'll hate
exactly.
it.
You could bloody hate it. That's very true.
I think it does turn itself into a rather stressful gameplay loop.
Yes. And it does that thing where you're increasingly changing the things. It's first you just got to recognize them. So next you got to recognize them and see if they're lying. Next then it's hidden weapons or different prosthetics, and then you got to make sure different paperwork lines up, and then
it escalates.
Yeah, you feel like you're getting a hang of it, and then something else gets chucked in, and it changes the two rules you learned beforehand, and now you got to adapt to the.
And it's constantly happening.
Yes.
By day 3, you'll have a couple of rules, and you'll think, okay, I think I can do this. By day 25,
yes, it is.
You're drowning.
Yes, and then you get the citation because you missed someone, and you think, what?
Like, how?
Which
what
one?
did I miss?
I was so
perfect.
Good. Yes, I had so many of those moments thinking, there is not a chance I got that one wrong. Like there isn't. But I guess what?
Yeah, and then you get more rules, more paperwork, more documents, less time because of a damn terrorist attack.
Yeah, and do you shoot them? You don't shoot them. And again, this game, like a single run is, I guess, around 3 to 4 hours, depending how good you are and stuff of it, depending on what days you got. And of course, there's different endings. So if you want to do like a true ending and a bad ending, because you can, like you said, you can just rot. You can pay nothing, do your job poorly. Your family members can die, and you can just end that way. That you were just soulless.
Oh yeah,
nothing.
that's definitely one of the endings.
The
other ones, you're the perfect inspector.
Yes,
the other ones, you're fleeing a country.
Yeah.
The other one is you're part of the resistance group. The other one is I got an early ending.
Oh, you failed somewhere then, right?
I failed somewhere.
Yeah.
I was told by a government official that I should let a person through, regardless of their paperwork.
Okay, yeah.
Now again, that's breaking the law, but I'm being told by a government official to break the law.
So you're conflicted.
Glory to Arstotzka.
That's
and
right.
I accidentally didn't let her through.
Oh, no.
I accidentally denied passage. And then this official came to me and told me I'm horrible at my job, threw me in jail.
Well, yeah. You don't
threw me in jail and my family died.
Wow. That's bleak. Holy crap. But you are the only sole income as well, if that wasn't clear, ladies and gents. You are the only income for your family. There is no one else. There is no wife or
because there aren't any jobs.
No.
Because this is bleak.
But it's, again, it's the game that when you finish playing it and then you kind of sit down and you kind of like think inwardly, again, like you said, that's kind of just art. If you ever have to, like, we all play our Max Paynes and our shooting things on Call of Duty because we want to just shoot things or be
because it's fun.
But when a game makes you sit there and think, whoa, that was actually kind of like crazy, and all I did was doing paperwork. That gameplay is kind of masterful and kind of just very clever.
It absolutely is. And it's these types of games that reinforce my opinion that video games are art.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm not talking about
art.
your shitty little Mario copies on mobile. I'm talking about games like these.
Yeah, it's these.
Right?
These are the
I'm
ones
talking
that get
about
excited.
The Last of Us. That's what I'm talking about.
It's games like these that keep you going. Like in the drudgery that we have in the gaming sphere, especially now, it's little games like this, like pop up, be it Silk Song and all those other things. They're the ones that are keeping our gaming fire brewing by all accounts and stoked.
Yes, these games are art.
Yes,
art's a piece of something made by one person to evoke an emotion in someone else.
The fundamental aspect of art, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I felt like when I was finishing Persona 5 Royal. It's art.
Fair. That's crazy. Like 200 hours in that game. It's just a crazy amount of hours.
I did, and I put in 200 more.
yeah, that's crazy. Anything else gameplay, by the way, that you want to bring up? It is just
there was my last parts of the gameplay. There was a personal point where I really, really, really wanted to print out the entire rule book and have it on paper
there is.
Yeah,
I can understand that feeling too.
Only after I thought about how I can do this did I realize, oh damn, this game has me by the balls.
Yes, it's so weird, ladies and gents, to talk about it's a game where you do paperwork and you live in a horrible place and it's drudgery and there's no sound and there's the visuals kind of make you sad, but this is all good for some reason. But it does grab you. It grabs you from.
It's like watching Breaking Bad. Do you watch Breaking Bad because it's fun?
There are scenes in it that are kind of cool. That's a badass scene.
You know what I mean?
You're right. The him dying of cancer and all the other things that come into play. You're right. It's not all a roller coaster.
Yeah. But okay.
So performance then, because you have rated this game performance-wise the highest rating that we've rated any game.
Correct.
What did this do?
I have thrown caution to the wind and have given Performance of Papers, Please a 10 out of 10. Why?
I don't know, whimsy. You're just. Is it because you're toting the line because they've got you? You're a secret plant.
Because this entire game, is under 100 megabytes.
Yes, it is a small game comparative to other games nowadays.
This entire thing is less than a 20-second video I've got on my phone.
Oh yeah, you could play this on your fridge or your calculator or whatever the hell thing with the screen nowadays, right?
if we can compare this to just what we've got going on today in video games, many modern games are over 100 gigabytes. 100 gigabytes.
Easy nowadays.
This is less than 1,000th of that.
Ooh, good maths. That was some quick maths you did there. That was good.
Of Duty is 2,000 times larger than this game.
Okay, now you're just math flexing. Like I gave you a compliment.
I'm staying quiet about the part where I wrote all of that.
Okay. Sorry. I'm breaking the illusion of how great we are in the podcast.
Yeah.
This isn't all scripted.
Can you believe that Call of Duty is 2,000 times larger?
Why is Call of Duty that big? Is it the online?
I don't know. That's not the question. That's not the question. 2,000.
You're right. That is a
I cannot believe that.
Chunky size difference.
I cannot believe that. Yes, I gave performance a 10 out of 10. It runs on almost anything.
Yes, this would.
It runs on almost anything. I encountered no bugs. I encountered instant loading, and this game was extremely polished.
No, I can't argue. I've just never heard you so impassioned about the performance of a game before in regards to any of this. Because normally you have the worst time. You have the frame rate stutters. You have the breakdowns and the bugs and stuff.
Yes, because my computer is a bit shitty.
I feel like you are so excited not to have any of those issues that you're overcompensating.
For once.
You're like, whoa, this is what it's like to not have performance issues.
Whoa, I can see all 60 frames.
This is life-changing. Okay, but I'm glad. Yes, it ran fine for me too, because like you said, it's fairly low fidelity and stuff like that, so it runs fine. It was good work. Well done, Mr. Lucas Pope, or whatever his name was. Yes, I got that right.
Well done, Mr. Pope. This is polished. This is optimized.
It is. And by all means, play it on your Nintendo DS and your Sega Mega Drive. And
you should be able to, I'm sure.
I'm sure you play on all of them.
With your stylus?
Yes. Probably on your watch. Be a bit difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think value for money wise then?
This entirely depends whether the gameplay loop clicks for you. It clicked for me. It definitely clicked for Dave. Yep. Meaning, yes, this is some good value for money. Even at $10, yes, this is an extremely unique experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. Maybe except an actual inspection office.
Yeah,
in 1982.
I love the idea
Russia.
That our podcast, it's just people just start applying for immigration officers because, this game was great. Could you imagine doing this in real life? Let me apply now. I want to do this to real people. Yes, like I said, it ranges from like $5 to $10, give or take the way you want to grab it, be it Good Old Games or Steam. It even was so popular that it did do a limited run kind of like physical copy game out there.
Whoa, it did?
Yeah, no, I love limited run games. They give like a physical disc for things on the Vita and I think this came out mainly PC and PlayStation and stuff like that, which is very cool. And they are slowly becoming collectible because they only do like 500 or 1,000 units or something like that. But yeah, for $5 or $5 to $10, this game, again, for a one-man indie developer to get a Game of the Year nomination, I wish I wrote down what it went up against, because I'm sure it's fairly prolific standings in regards to what this is. It's a no-brainer. You play this game, you buy this game, you cherish this game to some weird degree because it's bleak. But yeah, it's, for me, you've got to play this game if you just like games and narratives and movies or anything along those lines. You've got to pick this one up.
I totally agree. This gameplay loop clicks for you. You're in for definitely a good time, right? You've got multiple endings, some good value, around 15 hours of gameplay if you want to see everything.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, it's not for everyone. Just maybe do your due diligence before you pick this up.
Yes, have a little look-see on Steam reviews and all that other things.
Although even if you do pick this up, it's not like it's $60.
No, agreed. No, if it was an erroneous $60, I'd actually just be saying no. Just find it elsewhere by all accounts. And I like supporting people, but that would be a bit steep. Out of curiosity, what did we score this then? After all this glazing and a good time that we had for it, what did we score this?
Our scores for Papers, Please were a bit fed up for their lifestyle in the United Federation, so they decided they were going to get their paperwork in order and try to immigrate to the country of Arstotzka. So they got everything in order, went to the border, stood in line, and finally got to the inspection office, where they tried to sweet talk the inspection officer a tad bit, but to their surprise, got a big old red stamp on their papers as it wasn't in order. And on this red stamp, they got the letter grade rating of B, which is a great score.
It's a great score. I kind of like look at it now and I kind of want it to be an A because I felt like like my scores were very like reviewy and like nitpicky, but our podcast was so like, this is so great. This is a good game. Yeah, I get why we scored it relatively low on audio, and we both kind of scored it relatively low on audio because there's not really much there, and we all love voice acting and great musical scores and orchestral music and all the other things. But yeah, a B is a great score for a tiny little game that runs on anything and grabs you, and it's office work. It's a remarkable score by all accounts. So yeah,
Very true.
B, by all means, go pick it up. Great game.
B definitely means the game is worth checking
out. Yes,
because it is good. It could be great, and it is something special. And also, video games are subjective.
Yeah, they are.
Some video games are horrible to others, great to some.
Yes, agreed.
Death Stranding is an example.
Who doesn't like Death Stranding?
Loads of people. What are you talking about? Tons of people call it a walking simulator.
Oh, it is a walking simulator. I can see from a gameplay aspect. Yes, okay, there is a lot of walking simulators.
Right, and this is just pushing papers.
It's true. Even pushing papers with please at the end of it. But yes, it is fundamentally just pushing papers. Like Death Stranding is a walking simulator.
Yes. So, yeah, I do agree. I think there should have been a higher score.
Yeah.
But B it is.
Yes, because we have integrity and honesty, and we'd never change our scores to appease our chains of minds or mindsets. It is. It's set in stone. All hail the list. We can't change it.
All hail the list. And also, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Critical Arcade Podcast. Press subscribe, smash the like button, and leave a review.
Stamp the like button, just because, papers and stamping.
Stamp the like button. Report a comment.
Nice, I like it. Can you keep going?
No, scribe a comment.
Nice. Alert. Share.
Alert the share button. Alert your friends with the share button. Do all of that and subscribe, and then some. Dave, where can we follow you?
You can follow me out and about, but during this game, I towed the line and slowly became indoctrinated, and I actually believe in the rigid regimes of the totalitarian state that I worked for, and all hail Kozha, what the hell country it was called?
Arstotzka.
Thank you. So if you do follow me, I've got recruitment forms in my back pocket. I am very close to the higher-ups in the place, and I will just put you in place of a immigrant paper pusher with no life, with a struggling income and failure to look after your family well enough, whilst I'm eating strudel, living the life fantango in the building nearby. And
hell no,
that would just be your life. The drudgery. I feel bad because I like the drudgery of like visa offices, and there's thousands upon thousands of people who work for visa offices right now, and it's kind of like a mean narrative.
I don't think they like it though.
No, you never know. Maybe someone just loves it. He's just like,
I think they're just doing it so that their uncle doesn't die of pneumonia.
Yes, that's the narrative we're gonna have here. If that hasn't happened, everyone dies. So there you go. If that's what you want, when you by all means follow me, and I'll sign you up.
Hell yeah. Do not follow Dave. Dave, rather tell us, what have we got lined up for next week?
Well, next week, I don't know why, but the list seems to be very, very pro Nick at the moment, and we're playing another one of the games that I know he's played in the past. It's another management sim game. A game I've not touched because I am very much a theme park man. I am a theme hospital man. I am not a tycoon man. But next week's game is Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Because the list did not deem us necessary for us to play the first one. So we get to play the sequel for
we
PC.
Just immediately jumping to the second one.
But that's the one you've played a lot of, right? Number 2. So this is kind of like down your road, or was it not 2? Was it 1?
It's
Neither.
You know what? Let's leave that up
Okay,
for next week.
Find out next week to see which one Nick actually has played, or if I'm just completely lost all my marbles and I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon. Listen to us next week.
Yep, we'll see you then. Cheers.
Cheers.